why King Makhosonke, Mabhena, married to Lesotho Queen, Princess, which is Her Majesty Queen Skhotadi Mabhena.
Okay.
What was the significance of that? What were they trying to do?
Sure.
Because it's kingdom to kingdom. Then we start to do a research on that. And that has given us a platform to say, let us develop, come with the concept of a wine that will tell the story. The Makhosonke, Queen Mother. Okay. So all of them, they've got a collection of wines which are, the history is written. We are rewriting the history.
Okay.
To say, if there was this guy called Charles Glass, who was so popular in the taverns, why can't we have our own Makhosonke, the king, in our space when we discuss the matters related to the kingdom? We're still going to be following the Western dominance culture, whereas we've got a rich history and culture, because all the minerals are here. It's a question to say, how do we then protect and preserve? This is how you eat. You don't take straight to the mouth. You put it here and eat.
Mujapilo no JP Forest phakathi kwequantum sirenga wonke umzansi boy isukile boy.
Let's go right to the sound of good times.
Another day, another dollar, another podcast, another episode, another opportunity to inspire and transform lives. Eitawola Shapfiri, welcome to another exciting episode of a Quantum Podcast. Podcast asekasi, podcast yabantu, podcast yomphakathi. Bafethu, we are coming to you live from a busy corner. Bafethu, every time mangivaya ikasi, mangivaya ngezinye indawo, bangibuza ukuthi ngibuya ngithi ngibuye eThembisa. But why is it busy corner? Finally sikhona phakathi busy corner. So I believe by now you already know igama Kemsneshi, the one and only Mageza wasikasi, umdraisini number 1 umdraisini wasikasi, the one and only driver Quantum. Phakathi kwawo phezulu kwawo. So Vandag is always perfect. I'm not rolling solo. Vandag I'm with Mr. Monyai all the way from Limpopo. But yamcaba bafethu. Sekayithembise. Dala asethembisa uzositshela yena ukuthi Mr. Monyai.
Yes, thanks my brother. So,
welcome to Quantum.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to learn.
Sure. Yeah, I really want that. So yeah, maybe please just introduce yourself. But let's see, Mr. Monyai.
All right. Na kalibiswa ke nna molatelo Develd Monyai. Ke tsogana pogo Mamalebogo. Ke fitlhile ba Gauteng ka nyakana ditaba tsa meshomo ya lelana. And then when it's like ke ibile telle for me to be today be ke gona bona le lena. I've been there, I've gone through to all the journeys of one also a young person. The whole township, like Ivory Park, learned tutor or how do I have to become a person today. I never look as Ivory Park and that's the end of me. I always look beyond that. So I've learned a lot with the people that were surrounding me. If it was not because I was a good listener and taking advices from other people, I wouldn't be where I am today. As you know, so I found myself surrounded by people who mentored me.
Okay.
Just to name the few.
Dr. Tindis?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's my father.
Okay, Dr. Tindis.
Sometimes you want to see him. He's there.
Oh,
those are the fathers. Those are the fathers.
Yeah, I get relations.
Yeah. So when even when the taxi industry started, I remember never the you could start any
Okay.
So but those are the times.
Time is 87.
Yeah. So and you know what? As almost I always cherish this moment and the place where we are today. Kirmo Ebony Park. This used to be a farm.
Okay.
Look how new there is. Now we've got this a multi-million brand which is Mbizo Shisanya Bisco.
Sure.
Not far from here, next to the Hawaii Spa, there is a place called Pay Point, Spa. It used to be just an abandoned house. And that is where my creative skills started.
Okay.
There was a group called My Talent, which I was part of it, at the drama. So there was even a swimming pool on the other side, but we've learned a lot from that. The house itself, it also assisted us with skills because we learned how to do carpentry and all that. It was not only about drama.
Okay.
It was a lot of things there.
All right.
I think that is what actually makes us to be united as young people. Remember, we were coming from very diverse cultures. But I've learned in the other way, the language itself can unify us.
Okay.
Irrespective of cultures.
Sure.
But it unifies us. May his soul rest in peace, Gideon Chagala, the founder of My Talent, is the guy who brought us together as young people at that time. Fast forward, I found that it's also imperative for Mutaya school. Because remember, I only came with the matric. I didn't have anything, but I came with the matric. But I said, I knew where I'm coming from, my background, knowing how I won't be able to go to universities because of my background.
Okay.
And then, the petrol attendant, people can laugh at the guy who works there as a petrol attendant. I worked as a petrol attendant because I had a desire, I have a goal. I set up a goal.
Okay.
To say, this is what I want to do in my life. I went to, I think some of you guys, maybe you were still young. There was a conference, it was what you call it, Tembisa Care Center then.
Okay.
TCC. And then they had a branch, a satellite, more Ivory Park. One up in some Motumelo.
Yeah.
IPCGC, Ivory Park Kira Guidance Center, which I volunteered my services as a young person. So, Nere, no Wagari Career Expo, Kira Guidance and all that, which is something that Komahai, we never got that opportunity. So, how do you feel? That's when I found it when that team decided,
I believe you now, you're still involved because of you and I, we met for Career Expo.
Yes. Then that's when I saw Bundati Tindisa LED board of that center. The current premier Houti was also part of the Tembisa Care Center. That's where he came from. That's why I met him, in fact. I'm told him years back. So, fast forward, I wanted to become a lawyer, not a journalist.
Okay.
My desire was to become a lawyer because coming from where we were coming as Watchawans, we were oppressed so many times. So the human element is looking at advocating human rights. It was one of something that I was passionate about.
Okay.
Liberating our people and making sure that they don't have to be oppressed so much while we are there. But along the way, may her soul rest in peace, my mother, the person who actually has been my pillar of strength. I was raised by her. I grew up in a family of cousins. But what the love of a mother, I always say, you wouldn't see how we are different in the family because when she buys us all. Same thing, eternal. So that you mustn't look better than the other one. So she was actually making sure the family is also intact. There's a unity in the family. Those family values.
I also believe that generation ya how no sa tsibolo motho ke cousin ya how no tsibolo ke also aga o ke abuto aga le bana ba motho yo
true that sense. And then one day as Aberega is nearly domestic work kitchen. I will always come here during school holidays. But I'm very sad garden in Mahua and then I didn't mind because I had all life at the end of the day I wanted to care of school. I would do those things because I knew what I wanted. But I looked at something's going to happen because I always wanted to excel because at school I was doing well. But unfortunately, because of during those time, it was not easy. I remember my mom, she said to me, I've got a newspaper here, a newspaper article that I want you to read. My mother couldn't be able to read and write, but she was so fluent in Afrikaans. And then that article was written in English. And then I asked, why did you keep this under your mattress? I don't know. I wanted you to read for me. I will read local school. So you must read it for me.
Yeah.
We just call them for you to assist me.
Sure.
I read that, and unfortunately, because I was not like active, involved, politically inclined at that time, and I could see the picture on the front page, the late Krisani there, Toki was holding him there, and I said, you know what was happening here. Then I explained the story to say, this is what happened. This man was assassinated and all that. I'm going to drive through. So this is exactly what happened at that time, because the country, politically, it was violence by that time. But and then she said to me, what is that you wanted to do? God, I want to study law. That time, Mabhena, Ubas, that time, I don't know, because we respect it, means boss. Like Ubas, keep boss.
Yes.
And then they will take you to school. I said, Baba Tungisa, we put them to South Africans. And I remember we fought for that in 1976. I was still young by that time. Maybe I was 4 or 5 years. So, and then they wanted me to go to RAU, which is now in UJ, Rand Africans University. It's written in Afrikaans. Everything when I went there, from the door, Africans. I said, no. Now it's something that we were fighting for. I'm still fighting that. I'm not allowed myself to institutionalize. Get the same institution and then trying to take whatever my pride away. Because obviously now I'll be pursuing the interests of the African Institute. So I won't be myself as an African person. And then I said, no, I'm fine. I don't want their money. I rather not do. I can't study law in Afrikaans. It's something that we fought for as young people by the time.
When was it?
It was in 1990.
Oh, around 90s.
Yeah, 1999.
Okay.
So I said, no. I said to my mom, I'm not going there. I'd rather suffer than for me to be given this kind of knowledge that I don't want. My mom couldn't sit well because she was, you are rude, offer opportunity, you don't want to take it. I said, no, I've got a reason. You gave me the newspaper, and that actually awakened me to understand who I am as an African person. So then, through going to like different centers and career centers, I even went as far as Soweto Career Center, Funda Center, to understand myself what exactly do I want to study and why should I want to study. Because now I've been enlightened by my mom to say, it means she wanted me to do something that I'm going to represent the people. Meaning now I have to study media, study journalism and all that. By that time, I was not even there. One day I was sitting here in one of the container office. These shipping containers here at Tumelo Home at Quartindis. Because we were working with students like matriculants and all that by that time. I was working with a person who went to universities as a career counselor. So now I was under the tutelage of that person to understand. And I got a call from one of the Caxton newspapers to say they were looking for a journalist. Remember, I don't even have any training for any some sort. I went there and I found Ingam. They said to me, we are looking for a black journalist. They just put it in that way, a black journalist. And I feel like it was an insult to say black. But for me, I understand because we are coming from where, when you say black, obviously we are coming from a very hard conditions of apartheid. So they will still see you as black, not white, because I'm not white. I said, no, I can do it. They said, okay. They gave me time.
So it feels like you were offended when they said they are looking for a black journalist. Expect to say which word or which language.
We are looking for an African person who can speak in there.
Okay.
Because you could see that I think it was still alive. Apartheid, racism was still alive by the time.
Okay.
So they would call a spade a spade. They won't call a spade a fork.
Sure.
So that shows how our people were actually oppressed. They were in their conditions was not okay. But then I under that I was referred as a CAP reporter. CAP reporter, you don't have a title. You are a beginner, a novice, just starting from like a grade R. I started there like nobody. And then I was given some tasks to do. I remember when you started, they don't give you a byline on a story written by who. Then I did my articles without getting a byline. Byline means the story is written by you yourself.
Yes.
Second week.
That means they don't credit you.
Yeah, second week I was credited. Front page, everywhere. I said, wow. Now I'm now beginning to see things now. Now I remember
What paper was it? What paper are we talking about here?
Medium report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's part of the Caxton. Before it was sold to Caxton. It was
I
owned,
saw it on your profile.
Yeah, it was owned by the Dreyer family because it was sold to Caxton. It was owned by a group of the Afrikaner family, the Dreyer's family.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I worked there. But you remember?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So Mitral Reporter, the Captain Express, the TBC, they were not related?
Before it was sold.
Oh.
Midland Reporter, it was an independent newspaper there.
All right.
Because when I went, it was owned by a family of Dreyer's family.
Okay, sure.
So until when they sold it to Caxton, which is now part of the entire group of newspapers that you see around townships and even this in the cities, in the suburbs, you find the different newspapers. It's owned by the same group of people, which is Caxton, including the magazines. They are here in Jan Smart, I think, and Rambek.
Yes.
So that's where their headquarters are.
Okay.
And then I realized, there is one thing that can actually liberate me and liberate all people. It's school. Matric it was not just my last desire to say this is the end, because you remember when you come from Koma High, matric remember those days of our lives. They say, I Majesty kile service. How you from service?
What took the DD score?
But you
and the scholars pay.
And I said, no, okay. I remember that I wanted to do what? Initially I wanted to study law. Now I'm changing my mind because of my mom. Now I want to study journalism. I want to go into media study, media law and all that. Then in the middle, when I was still working there as a journalist, I enrolled. Enrolled for study journalism. And then I completed. And then for me, it was showing now. This is one thing that was actually, now I begin to see Mandela when we release and everything. You see the Naoya Galagay State, you see the triple force, it's what Mandela said. Now you see the figures, the political figures, the icons, people that you admire, that you serve from a distance. Now you see them here because we interview them. That opportunity that now is presented to you because now you are in that space as a journalist. I said, wow, this year's got opportunities. I worked there, get promotions, you started from a cub reporter junior, you end up being a senior, assisting an editor, an assistant editor for that. And up until you see now, you get tired in this thing because it's not easy. You see me and say, hey, this guy is a great journalist, a great writer. You see me as a great writer.
Yes.
But you don't understand the politics in the bottom. The only thing that I didn't like in journalism, when there is a young white person who comes in to work with you, they say, go and mentor this person. After you've mentored this person becomes a news editor, and then you still remain as a senior journalist. So there was this kind of a nepotism or white privileges. Jobs were preserved such because when...
So in simple language, that person becomes your boss.
Because now you...
They
say train this person, then this person now...
Sure.
And then, you know what? Sometimes you don't have to be sure you are not happy about that. But it's inside. It's eating you. But you just leave it in that manner. But I decided one day in 2010, the World Cup, they didn't believe. You remember our newspapers comes on Thursday and our deadline is Monday. I submitted everything so that I mustn't have a bad record. I submitted everything. And then I put my resignation letter, put it on the table and say, now I'm going, but the stories are there. They are covered. I want to leave. Because after working for 15 years there, I already seen that now I'm pushing another agenda that was not meant for a journalist. Now I'm doing a PR. I'm no longer working as a journalist. Here I'm no longer objective. I'm not factual. Even if I wrote a story, obviously remember there has to be sub-edited. So it meaning the version of your story is going to change.
Yes.
Somehow to accommodate that audience, that particular audience. And I could see, this is not my story. I wrote this story, but the version has changed. So the narrative itself is no longer the same. Then I realized, okay, here is a problem. Remember by that time, I used to steal my time and come at Busy Corner. When Mazwan had heritage events, he would call me, Mr. Monyai, come. Remember, in Twana Limpopo, I don't even understand this. Yes. And that was the first passport like if you don't know this is then you are out. So that's your first language that you should understand. Yeah, go on. Then that was the thing that even there was a language barrier, but I understand because sometimes things are aligned. In Dong, I understand what was the reason why I'm fighting the Lampana. Now you are aligning, so that was God's plan that this thing is going to happen. I'm talking 2002 date, and when I started, when Ikala Heritage, I think now it's almost 20 something years, if I'm not mistaken. Not 20 something.
2002. So that means 2022.
21, 22 years.
If it's 2002, that means 2022 begins at 20 years.
Yes.
So that means this year is 25.
Yeah. You see
there
where
22 years old.
Yeah. There is this parking space. Umazwani will call yeah, okay. Maskandi, because that was the starting point. Yes. Denver was there. Tatibonga Maskandi,
which is one of the things that made this place unique.
Yes.
Because of my pub, this was a house back then.
Remember that it was still, it was not like fancy as you see it now. And then he will call me and say, come on, you MC. Relax, just be yourself. And then you know sometimes when you learn, we ask because there is a language barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mentor. Imagine it's a
artist. Difficult. Will pronounce. Will pronounce and speed.
You know, so open. Is open, this woman. He has taken me under a wing as part of the family. But you know, I said to myself, let me also assist here. Guma Malona CSI, I was the one who was running CSI, but I was still working as a journalist. But I would also give a platform. Would like some of the pictures for heritage, just to fag it so in Japan. We are also part there. Because sibona amahash all the time. Yes. Okay, cool. I did it because now usubona amahash lapha but or bari kati lahlekile imagine it's long way but with a reward for that. Imagine that. Yes. Then what about our people? And that was what I was fighting for. There are people who are important. I know what animals are also important, but I want before animals. No. But that was my fight in the boardroom. And then I worked with Mazwan under that. But that time I was not working for her. I was still with another company that I was working for. Up until I took a decision in 2010 when the World Cup started. We had what we called Philippines here. Where we were at the main bar, we had pictures of all African countries on my flag. And then,
Ghana,
people
now will participate.
Yeah,
World Cup.
Yeah, people with Marigalia, to show Africa is united through World Cup. That was the thing that I saw. There's something that was missing from us. World Cup, it was just a wake up call for us as Africans. Which imagines realize
sure.
It actually brings that kind of understanding.
Because now the World Cup is forcing us to unite.
Yes.
And yes, a reminder to
yes. Okay. So I said, wow. And then that's when I started to say, when I after I resigning in 2010, because now I was doing my PR as a consultant, like underground. On recruiting. I was doing my underground, assisting in PR, and then I was also to bring TV people, interviews. This is how you should project yourself in front of the camera. Be organic as you are. You don't have to change who you are because
be natural.
No, be yourself.
Sure.
Don't try to become something that you are not. I know you are just an organic person. and I know you story was you know where you come from. We ask Msokolo kwenzakaleni. Then before people didn't know that bohlala ithembisa. Uhlala ilona in a room, ulala phansi in a futhi udayisa in bed, ulala on the floor. And then that was the sacrifices that you've made before you can move to Ebony Park. They don't know you come from Tembisa by the time. But that is part of the story psyche from Ilona, and she was already a book, Conquering the Poverty of the Mind.
But
it's in that book.
She's also coming to Quantum, so she'll tell that story.
The memoir from KZN Guzala Konongoma, from here, what was the life about? Okay. So every person has got a story to tell.
Sure, most definitely.
So I've learned a lot from Umazwani as a resilient woman. I've seen things. And up until I said, yes, ma, yes, you bring all cultures in one, under one roof, and all that, and then you are using your money. There's no one who's coming to the party, even government.
No sponsorship.
No sponsor. So, do you think this thing, you can actually do it in other years? She kept on doing it. I said, no, this woman is amazing, man. But anyway, it's fine. And then in 2015, 2016, let me see, 2014, I started to do a research around Midrand, because I know Midrand because I worked in Midrand, collecting data, the history of Midrand and all that, part of Ivory, Tembisa. And then I found there is something missing. There is a gem hidden, the treasure hidden. And the only way for us to unearth that is through the research, and then we'll have an institution that will actually preserve and safeguard that. And then after collecting the data, then I decided to say, I need a company that will speak, that will actually be committed to safeguard our history and culture and heritage, because it's slowly dying. If you go to Mpumalanga, you'll find that the Ndebele paintings are now faded away, because now people are no longer interested into their things, into their identity.
You celebrate heritage only once a year.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but so I said, no. Let me start a company. That's when I registered my company called Camerali Heritage Institute. But he started as a concept as a Camerali.
Okay.
Camerali, which is in the kitchen. You want a roundabout, kind of. Yes. Because that's where we learn a lot. It's a teaching itself.
Yes.
Part of that would you are another person. I will look at you as my brother, as my sister.
Yes.
Because basically important day one.
Sure.
I need to ask the school which we are
saying in common.
So they will make sure that they even show you how you this is how you eat. You don't take straight to the mouth. You put it here and you eat.
Okay.
So that you mustn't it's not okay. So there were some teachings about culture, traditions, like values as a family. To say this is how we eat. And then there's no way that we can eat this my other brother is not there. They make sure that all of you are there. So if you're not there, you don't eat. You have to wait for him to come and eat together. That the family unit. That's how it was, the social fiber. You couldn't do anything. So, fast forward.
So this culture, you dinner together.
Yes.
Not just Africans, we used to do that.
We've got it. But yes, I left somewhere.
Okay.
I think after 1994, when the government, Develd Monyai took over.
Okay.
They left indigenous outside.
Yes.
Leaders outside.
Okay.
They didn't participate in all, including the Kodesa. They were not part of that. Okay. That is why even now today they are still left outside. And now Ikamrali becomes the mouthpiece of those kingdoms to say, let's ask Bumbani that we can actually, we don't reclaim the heritage, the land is your heritage.
Yes.
Because now today we don't have jobs, we don't have jobs today. Why? Because the land are now controlled, not by indigenous people, by the capitalists. So now it means back to
the basics.
Back to the basics to say, konje abantu babaphila kanjani, babaphila njani. So we need to know what, if you've got a kingdom, a king, he will never sleep. You will always make some means. If they find it's in this family against him, they will give you a cow. And then so that then you will then have that. That shows within Kosi has the love of Abantu, the villages and all that. Sure. Unlike politicians, they only think of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not here for that today. But that is the reality. Yeah. So Lorna, Camarade, it was all about that to say, let me start this company to safeguard and preserve our heritage, culture and history through by storytelling. Because if we are only going to do it just without any written form and have platforms where we can share our stories, it will just a company. We need to start working around that to change the narrative, our African perspective, and how do we see ourselves? Are we still going to be following the Western dominance culture? Whereas we've got a rich history and culture, because all the minerals are here. It's a question to say, how do we then protect and preserve? Because for example, if you want to go in areas where there is nature reserve, they are preserved not by us. We are going there for vacations. But you are paying who? Who are you paying money for? That money goes where? That money goes where? Does it that money circulate within?
No.
So that's our pride, to say we need to now look at that element, because we also have like in the farms, you find out people still have what we call it amatu, mabit. But you find that there is that farm who owns that hectare, and you have to go there with permission. Imagine, Pelatina, we have to connect in Abantu, our ancestors with.
Yes.
You cannot grow when you have got your kids and your family. So and so, for you to get there. And that is those things that we need to start looking at to say, are we the visitors in this land, in South Africa?
Good question.
Are we visitors? If we are visitors, it must be stated, because the Constitution, it says it acknowledges the indigenous people.
So, beauty pageant, because I see you involved with Miss Mitrend and stuff.
All right. Angithi masicala sisesabafana. Besifuna ukwenza yonke into siphakamise iflag.
Okay.
Iflag Ivory Park.
Sure.
I found myself ngisebenza nabo umuntu Khumalo and a lot of people nabo Manhattan now is spinning of cars and all that. I think sometimes we need to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's also building up his own. He's building up his own empire. Yakuspina. Intwana yala from original from Tembisa, Mtambeke now, bahlala Ivory. His family is in Ivory Park, but now he's got umuzwaki because sakhulile. But now it's in motoring, spin of cars.
Sure.
So now sometimes man is phone. He's a guy we are pagamisa Elon if like South Africa. Ngesikhathi ayibayobula the globe, the Zulu Macbeth. In England.
Okay.
Mandela, when he was opening the globe, he was part of the Zulu Macbeth.
Okay.
So
he used to be an actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we started with a farmhouse.
Oh, okay.
That's where we started.
Oh, yeah. The farmhouse.
Yeah, Kaleko. Okay. So, beauty contest, we started, and he said, guys, there is one thing which always when you look at, that's why now, today we are talking of GPV and all that. You respect a woman like nobody. We respect.
Sure.
And those things we are saying that we need to look at the fact which in a balanced environment. Normally we are muscle people, masculine, and when you look at the other part, it's inferior. And then let's give them a platform now which they showcase the talent, their talents that they have. It was not only about, remember, beauty contest, most people they say it's about the beauty. But what about the brains? Because you must also look at the brains. You can be beautiful, but it's all with la.
That's why my concept of found about beauty with brains.
So we did that, Miss Mitrend, and unfortunately we didn't know that to this turn when she came second princess, she ended up representing South Africa as Miss South Africa because Bahlala Itlen Mitrend. We didn't know. when we were dealing that, we were organizing that.
Yes.
We didn't know that now we are setting up a bar for a young girl who will happen to represent Mzansi. So it does happen, and that for us it was an achievement.
Yeah.
At least we've created something and created a platform for other people.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
unfortunate that time I'm a sponsor, but we were supported by other. I won't mention them on your podcast because I'll be now advertising them. But we were supported by some brands by that time because I was good in that space of marketing. So I managed to get a backup of sponsors.
Okay.
Because we had even Upalas were part because part of our sessions just Baba Boni and Rabbi Rich. Yeah, Marocho, Rabbi Rich and all that. And then until we had the great finale.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was the thing that sparked us. And then
but to sum up everything, you were young, you were trying out everything.
we were young, Chief, we had a full of energy and vibrant. Normally, I mean, I was also involved in sports. I was a football administrator up until to Safa level, Safa region, which is now Safa Gauteng, Safa Ikurlane. Used to be Safa.
What was your role there?
I was one of the administrators. Mabangfake women's structure because I'm the guy who started a women's league Tembisa, the Greater Tembisa.
Is it?
Yes, the whole Tembisa when the league started, the women's league started.
And Mangapega domination of places Tembisa.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the guy who started a structure. You see, the lady who's in SABC Sports, Loasit Pumulu, Mangan. Is very good as a sports analyst.
A sports analyst?
Yeah, Spiwa.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She used to play for Communal ladies. She used to play for Communal ladies. They used to play live at Park Stadium, Pumulo, Tembis and all that. Mighty Lovers,
the goalkeeper,
City Sharks ladies, and all that. Pumulo ladies, Rabbi Rich, Colchester, which was now renamed as the name of the street of Rabbi Rich. What did they call this team now? I forgot it.
The main road, Rabbi Rich?
Yeah. Falcon Street.
Okay.
If Baby is a Falcon Ladies.
Okay.
Because it was named after that street. The late Avin May, who was a caretaker, is the one who founded the team. Okay. Falcon, before Bob married. So that shows we had everything in our hands, in our disposal. But we make sure because we even played to. I remember when we called Banyana came to play with the 11. We had a squad. All the teams, mostly teams, because we had only 6 teams in tennis. Okay. So in the squad, Banyana, and all under 19 and all that. That's when we've met and others. So for us, it was to say they must come and spot the talent.
Sure.
Yeah, and then that's when other leagues started, and Sasol came in, Vodacom came in, and all that. Yeah. But because it's something that is part of your hobby. Remember now, you are growing up. You need to also look at something that is sustainable. Sure. And I had to change to say. Hey,
so what is your role in Pizikora now?
I'm now consulting because I decided to consult because if I was not consulting, I would have a problem.
So you are running with PR.
Yeah, I'm doing their PR and stakeholder engagement, management as a manager.
How many branches do you have?
We have got 3 branches.
Can you name them?
The main one is this one in Boni, and the second is in Midrand, which is Chinatown, and the other one in Mall of Tempis. Okay. Yeah.
I see the brand is growing, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is growing. It's growing because it's led by people who are visionary.
Okay. Bone profile yako balelo ukuthi you're working with the king yaBandebele. So what are you doing there?
All right.
And which king? Because my name.
Yeah. Because I'm a researcher.
Okay.
He's a historian by note. I was sitting down with one of the ladies by the name of Lucia Mklo. We were actually coining out to say, what is that it makes the kingdoms to marry to another kingdoms? Okay. What was the significance? What were they trying to do? And then we were like brainstorming and said, man, can we find a way that will define these people? Maybe in African royals, then we came up with the concept of African royals.
Okay.
And she wanted to say, let's come up with something like e.g. called the man or whatever. But it didn't make sense to us. It said, it must have been a collective name, African royals. And we said, let's start with the why King Makhosonke, Mabhena, married to a Lesotho queen, princess, which is Her Majesty Queen Skhwathani Mabhena.
Okay.
What was the significance of that? What were they trying to do?
Sure.
Because it's kingdom to kingdom. Then we start to do a research on that. And that has given us a platform to say, let us come with the concept of a wine that will tell the story, Yamaki. Then we came up with the concept of African royals through Look More Wines. It's a premium brand to say, we've got two powerful families, kingdoms, that we now tell in their story, which is Makhosonke, you'll see there. There is the Makhosonke, it's Melo. At the back is the history of Mandebele about their kingdom. And then you'll have Her Majesty's Queen, you'll also have history, the Queen and all that. It's African Royals concept, but it's run by Look More Wines. It's a premium brand. And then you can find it online.
Okay.
And then you'll get it because now it's been circulated to mostly Zema hotel and lodges and all that because we're trying to spread the winds around there.
Okay.
And we also have Morimokholo Motebang, which is the King of Basotho, Free State, and then the Mototwana, which is Queen Mother Mototwana. Okay. So all of them, they've got a collection of wines which are the history is written. We are rewriting the history.
Okay.
To say, if there was this guy called Charles Glass, who was so popular in the taverns, why can't we have our own Makhosonke, the king, in our space when we discuss the matters related to the kingdom?
That's a great concept.
Yes. Yeah. So that was how we came up with that concept. Yeah. And every now and then, there was a commemoration King Sudumba at Komchagechek.
Okay.
Which is run by Amandebele to preserve their heritage and their language. Yeah. That's where King Sudumba and other kings were buried. Okay. The place has been declared as a national heritage site. I think it was in 1999. Yeah. So now every year in March, they celebrate and commemorate that day. So last weekend, and all the kings were there to celebrate and commemorate that event.
Well, tell us about your award.
For me, it was a blessing in disguise. I sometimes when you do something, you are not expecting anything.
Okay.
I never knew, for me to start this kind of movement, I call it movement. For me, working with everyone in the space where we show each other, this is how we should preserve ourselves. Working with the kingdoms and all that. I will end up finding myself be recognized in this manner. It means this person has spotted my work. He said, no.
Oh, you're honored.
I'm going to be honored.
Okay.
I'm not going to be nominated.
Wow, that's great.
I'm going to be honored with the legends, music legends, as we all know.
Sure.
Mam Tembi, Mukhewani, Dr. Blondi Makene, Bulanga, and Togazandanga, and all that, and others. So it's going to be, for me, it's a honor. Because I've never received an award in my life that recognizes my work. This will be the first time getting that award.
Yes.
It's cultural activist.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more like an ambassador. So that will be my first award since I started in 2019 with Cameralen Heritage as the founder and the CEO.
Wow, that's great. Eh? Congrats. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Congratulations. Okay. This episode will air on Africa's Month.
Okay.
Yes. So, in Africa's Month, and when is the Africa's Day?
I think Africa's Month is about reconfiguring our people to say, us willing back to where we come from.
Sure.
So it's a reminder, in a sense, to say, us willing back to where we lost it.
Okay.
And then a day itself, remember now, it's a day where the 54 countries match at Addis Ababa to decide about what is that we want in Africa.
Okay.
we want one Africa.
Sure.
That's why they formed that union, African Union, which was used to be Organization of African Unity, or AU. And then
so after the 25 or 25?
It's only 25th.
Oh, okay.
25th of May. Yeah.
All right.
So that's as a reminder that, remember, it's the day when there was a union formed by African states.
Okay.
The 54 countries.
Oh, yes. All right.
Yeah, at Addis Ababa at headquarters.
Yeah. What is your take on this concept of singabi namabhoda?
I think we need to have one visa for Africa.
Okay.
You know why I'm saying this? I will be politically correct or incorrect. Mina mangilandelela iguthi sibuya kuphi, where do we come from North, Central Africa, East Africa. I think we need to start to change our narrative, looking at our brother to brother, sister to sister, because this is where it happens.
Sure.
If the civilization started at Mapungubwe, the civilization at Mapungubwe, Azania, where now people started to scatter around to what we call South Africa, which is a direction, which everybody comes to.
Sure.
Look into that.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it was a treasure or hidden.
Yeah.
So we need to start to look at so already it coins something, it says something to say. It means my roots are somewhere in Africa, including somewhere in Zimbabwe.
Sure.
Because it cannot just come from nowhere. That is why our languages they differ, but it's the same. You find it differs because of dialects. Umuntu ukhuluma isiZulu waseNatal won't be the same as a Gauteng person who speaks Xhosa or Soweto or Tembisa. It will be different. So, and that's how we were classified, and that's how we were used as experiments.
Okay.
By the apartheid.
Sure.
The colonizers.
Yeah.
So that's why now, when I see the other brother from another country, it's a foreigner for me. But what about the foreigners that are here? Be it white, Chinese and others, and Greek, and all that are running,
real foreigners.
Running restaurant. Why are we not referring? Because you work for them. You cannot say they're foreigners. You work for them.
So, do you say we are brainwashed?
We have been brainwashed. So we need to now look at ourselves and introspect ourselves and look consciously as black consciousness to say, Africa, man, who is Africa? It's us. There's no more another Africa because of the color of my skin. Sure. This is the richness. This color is rich. This color.
Yeah.
So
it's deep because it's beautiful.
Yes. So it's high time now. We need to start to talk about these narratives and say, even our kids must know, Africa. You are not just limit yourself as I'm a South African. You are an African.
Sure.
Because you are a blessing child.
Yeah.
In Africa.
Most definitely.
Everybody, when he says Africa, the musicians sing about Africa. They want to see Africa united.
Sure.
It's an agenda of its own. So for me,
it's a sign for we are longing for one thing.
We are longing for one thing all day because na personally feel if Erica, and we mustn't be stopping to do the research about us. And because a person, they did a lot of research about us. That's why we use as experiments.
They took their time, yeah.
Yes. And when you look at our heritage and history, we know already it was used for in a form of storytelling. Yeah. It was preserved through storytelling. And then nowadays, if I come to your house, old age home. And those are institutions, those are wisdom people. It means that with that Western influence thing, you won't even understand the culture and identity because remember maza identity, which is a name. And a name has got a meaning. You cannot just say you are this. Obviously, if you it's got a meaning because now they want you to carry the lineage.
Most definitely.
They cannot just say you are so and so.
Yeah.
Because what's
sure.
Yeah. It's got a meaning.
Yeah.
As African, and that is an identity.
Sure.
So already you are connected to those.
Okay.
That is why now on the 8th of May, it's an Ancestors Day. It's unfortunate it's not recognized well in South Africa, but it's an African Ancestors Day.
Siyabonga, Mr. Monyai. So in closing, any message to our quantum subscribers?
Guys, I think you're doing a great job. It's the first time that I'm with you guys. And I want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given to me. But I said, pick up. You're doing a great job. I'm saying out there, people, they must actually look at the space and check the quantum. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Siyabonga kakhulu kuba nathi namhlanje.
Yeah.
Sibongile bafethu. That was so productive, right? That was so productive. So yeah, we came to the end of the road bafethu. Sesifike ekugcineni. Sesiyobhaka manje bafethu. Sesidlile enough suited. Thank you so much. That's it from me, your boy Cam Snash. Till we meet again. 8 hours. Away.